You know, you never really know who... he plays the macho thing, you know. What a great song. Play it louder, though. I like Wild Thing. Love this song. The women are all swaying to this song in their cars across America. Their trust in government is at an all-time low. President Zero is, of course, the reason that the country is in decline. And, of course, President Zero wouldn't miss a vacation even if there's 50,000 people trapped on a mountaintop. Even if Ebola is being brought in by the idiots at the CDC, hey, you don't interrupt a good vacation. 8-5. Sheriff says Mexican immigrant gangs and military fatigues are marching through South Texas. Top of Drudge Report. Well, you know, you shouldn't trust Drudge. I mean, you should trust CNN. You should trust ABC, CBS, NBC. The sheriffs in the south of Texas, they're not to be trusted. I mean, they're white, number one. They're right-wing crackers. And just because they say that Mexicans and army fatigues are marching over the border, you shouldn't believe them. You should believe, The View, for example. The rotten guava on the jungle floor of television. Yeah, that's who you should believe. The laugh-a-thon folks, the people who read other people's scripts. You should believe Jon Stewart, Bill Maher, Colbert, the people who read other people's scripts. In other words, the government comedians, the government jesters are who you should go to for your news. Always believe the government jesters. They're as reliable as the government agents in every other sphere. If you like what the IRS gave you, I'm sure you'll love what the government comedians give you during the laugh-a-thon. Let's take some callers on the Savage Nation. WABC Jack, go ahead. What's on your mind?
Hey, I just think what you just said about the booze and the Viagra, it's kind of frightening. You know, you got to think about these guys are living in caves for 2 years, ain't changed clothes, ain't had a bath. And so you want to drop them booze, get them all drunk, and the next day Viagra, and you look at the guy next to you, he's throwing kisses and smiling.
Seek immediate medical help for an erection lasting more than 4 hours.
Yeah, but don't you understand if they have no outlet for their newly found sexual prowess, which apparently they're all impotent, that's why they kill instead of making love. I mean, that's why they shoot machine guns instead of making love. They kill people. It's all a matter of impotence, and I think that Viagra may be a solution. Airdrop Viagra, small bottles of booze, and let them have it at each other. I mean, that's the way of the wolf, isn't it? What's that?
When you have
what's that static?
Guys naked and chasing each other, yeah, let them go at it.
All right. Well, thanks for the call. I appreciate this. I'll only do this for a while. For some reason, I had tremendous static coming in. I guess the NSA were bored and they had to throw static into the television show, now the radio show rather. Jimmy on KSFO, welcome to the program. What's on your mind?
Hey, Dr. Savage. I think that this whole ISIS situation is a perfect example as to how we need to have a well-armed populace of, people who are centered around the ideas of secular morality, private property, the things that we learned during the Enlightenment that formed Western culture. We need to be able to vehemently defend that here at home because we're going to get to a situation where, we're going to have people who have these radical left-wing socialist ideas, and they're going to try to reject our culture.
That's right. Our culture of degeneracy is it worth dying for? Because they think it's worth killing for.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
it's an interesting pair. Look, I can get very serious and get into a philosophical mode and be the sage of radio. We have an America that's degenerated. We know that. Girls gone wild, etc., the whole story. And God is probably mad at us, if you want to look at God as a vengeful God. And so he brings upon the planet the exact opposite, the psychotics, who interpret the Bible from a 5,000-year-old perspective, the original Jewish Bible, by the way. They interpret it exactly as it was written by the ancient Hebrews. And they say that anyone who doesn't follow it should be killed. Anyone who doesn't convert should be killed. So what's actually going to go on in this world? Who's going to win this battle?
I think I have this hope in my mind that ultimately those who live rational, reasonable lives will be able to eventually convince enough people that we need to be able to defend ourselves. And I think we see this pretty clearly throughout
Yeah,
America.
I mean, but is it worth dying for the right to use Viagra and watch pornography? I mean, is that what you're saying? Those are the symbols of Western civilization now? Is rampant sex and sexual enhancement? I mean, what is it? What is Western civilization anymore?
It's really about voluntary interaction between individuals on a rational basis. And I think that we've come to this point where we see all of this, sort of tax farming and tax cattle being separated by religion and nationalism and all these different things, which I'll take nationalism over globalism any day, trust me. But it's about the respect for the rights of the individual and engendering that into the next generation of people. And then
I got a migraine listening. I mean, he was right, but I almost my eyes went out. It's too much. I can't think about it today. Something's wrong with my brain. I don't know what it is. I had a wonderful meal last night. I can't be the meal. I drank my normal portion of vodka. Couldn't be the vodka. I had a wonderful guest to dinner. Can I mention who it is? I hope he doesn't mind. A good friend of mine flew out on the West Coast, and he was in San Francisco. I didn't want to go into San Francisco to have dinner, and I said, why don't you come up? We'll go to my Basque restaurant way up in the boondocks. It's my friend Chris Ruddy of Newsmax. I had a nice dinner with him. It was a nice meal. But I have a migraine today. I mean, Teddy's better. Teddy is better. I'm very happy to announce. By the way, they hate dogs, too. What do you make of a religion? Religious fanatics who hate dogs, hate women, hate Jews, hate Christians, hate Buddhists, hate Hindus, hate agnostics, hate Yazidis. What kind of religion is that? Can anyone explain this to me? How can you hate dogs? I mean, let's say I can see you can project hatred on the world, but a dog? What did a dog do to you? Anyone have an answer to this? What good is a religion that teaches you to hate so much? Can anyone explain that to me? It's an interesting question. Oh, well, anyway. These are some of the things we're talking about. U.S. launches first airstrikes in Iraq. Really? It was 2 bombs? And the squeegee men are back in New York? Remember the squeegee men in the old days? Those of you who are from New York City remember them? They were the degenerate, homeless bums who would, when you're at a traffic light, come over with dirty newspaper and a Windex bottle, and they would, spray the car, and you had to give them $1 to get rid of them. Well, Giuliani cleaned that up, and that was the beginning of the end of the crime wave in New York. And as predicted, now that we have an Obama type of man running New York City, de Blasio, a leftist with his head in the clouds about whatever leftists think, I don't know, they're back again. Spray bottles of glass cleaner to wipe down windshields, menacing people near the Holland, Lincoln, and Queens Midtown tunnels, as well as the Queensboro Bridge. And drivers who pass through the areas say that panhandlers are spraying and wiping windshields without permission to shake down drivers for cash. Now, there was an old broken windows theory that kept the city safe by having cops crack down on minor offenses to prevent bigger violent crimes. Giuliani started that, and violent crime was really pushed back. But now, under de Blasio, in order to be fair, he's got to terrorize people who are working for a living by those who are not working for a living. 855-400-7282. How do you feel about the president going on vacation in the midst of the world going to you-know-where? Now, here are some of the topics from the week. Monday. Is there any good reason to bring Ebola patients to the U.S. from other countries? My answer was, are you insane? No. Today we wake up and we hear the head of the CDC. Neil, we got to get that clip of the genius saying it's inevitable that it's going to spread in America. I mean, this is really beyond belief. It wouldn't have been inevitable if you had kept the Viagra patients in Africa. Here, 23. Yeah, go ahead. Let's hear it.
It's the first time we're having to deal with it here in the United States. And that's not merely because of the 2 people who became ill caring for Ebola patients and were brought back to the U.S. by their organization. That's primarily because we are all connected. And inevitably there will be travelers, American citizens and others, who go from these 3 countries or from Lagos, if it doesn't get it under control, and are here with symptoms.
All right, well, genius, I know you're the director of the CDC because you wear a suit well and you sound like Robin Williams in a comedy show. I was wondering who his voice sounded like. He has a very controlled voice, Tom Frieden. I was trying to place it. I'm an expert on voice. I should work for the CIA. But he sounds like Robin Williams in a comedy show. I guess the genius doesn't, even though he's the head of the CDC, he doesn't know the first rule of epidemiology, which is that you contain the epidemic. He says, bring him in. What do you mean we're all connected? So disconnect, schmuck. What do you mean inevitably there will be travelers? You put in a quarantine, Schmendrick. Your Uncle Mo knew more about health than you do. Your uncle who probably slung pickles somewhere on the Lower East Side probably had more brains than you do. Educated probably MPH, MD. Doesn't know the first thing about containing an epidemic. Your Uncle Mo would have said, hey, moron, you're the head of the CDC. Keep him in Africa. Cut off all flights. What are you talking about, Schmendrick? Of course, you wouldn't have listened to your Uncle Mo because he only went to the 4th grade. What did he know? All right, let's get back to Viagra, the important stuff. Sharon on WABC, go ahead, please.
I'm sorry, I'm still laughing about Mo the Schmendrick. I learned a life lesson as a female from a Viagra moment with a former significant other. The life lesson was only answer the question that's posed.